Now I'll hear your story.
Okay. On July 31st, 2006, I went into labor with my daughter.
How old are you?
I'm 19.
Are you married?
No.
Who do you live with?
My father.
Go ahead.
We had contacted my mother while we were at the hospital. Her engine had blown up in her car. When she arrived at the hospital, she asked to borrow my car because that way she could come back when I actually went into labor.
And you said, yes, you can borrow my car.
Yes, I did. The agreement was 2 weeks. After my mother had borrowed the car, after the 2 weeks, we had talked again, and at the time, I wasn't working.
What month was this?
This was probably around the end of October, beginning of November.
So she's had the car now August, September, and October for
Yes,
3 months. So far, is that correct that you were using your daughter's car for 3 months?
August, September, and 2 weeks of October.
Okay.
So she told me there was a couple things wrong with the car. Since I wasn't working, I couldn't afford to pay for it. And the insurance was $152 in my name. So she told me that if I signed the title and we put it in both of our names, that she could get cheaper insurance. She would, you know, pay for it and give it back to me since I couldn't work and I had my daughter.
Okay. So
I went ahead, I signed the back of the title, and her boyfriend, George, he came to my house and picked up the title, and my boyfriend's mother had gone to bingo and met up with my mom, and that's when my mom had told her that I had sold her the car and that she wasn't giving it back.
did she ever give you any money for the car?
No, ma'am.
Who paid for the insurance the 3 months that your mother had the car from August, September, and October?
My mom paid, but I had to pay for 1 month because I got a cancellation notice in the mail saying...
Which month?
I believe it was September.
Did she pay you back for September's?
No.
How many months of insurance did you pay for, Miss Steck?
Did I pay for it too?
Okay. Now I'll hear your story.
Okay. July 31st, my daughter went into labor. I was on my way to work when I got the phone call. A friend had picked me up to take me to work. She had called me and said she was in labor. My boyfriend had met me at the hospital where she was having the baby. I had asked if I could borrow the car so that I could come back and see her and the baby. I came back at 2 o'clock in the morning. I asked if I could borrow the car for a little while longer, and she said yes. So I took the car home. I let her know, I believe it was about 2.5, 3 weeks later, that I needed to keep the car a little longer.
And you had been driving the car?
Correct.
Keep going.
Okay. In September, I had noticed that Jacqueline's tags had expired on her car. I called Jackie, and I said, well, Jackie, you are going to have to get this car re-inspected because it was past the 60 days to put tags on the car. I said, there's a couple of things that you're probably going to have to fix, because it's been since April that she had had the car inspected. And she says, well, I can't afford to keep the car on the road with the insurance. I can't afford to get the car re-inspected and get it fixed. And I said, well, Jackie, I still need a car. I said, I'll buy the car from you and give you the $400 that you paid for the car since you don't want it anyway. And she was like, that's fine. I got a phone call from her father. Her father, get along with, wants to know when I'm going to give her back the car.
Show me proof that you paid her for the car.
It was my daughter.
Show me proof that you paid her for the car.
I don't have any. So her father called me and said that, you know, I need to give her car back. I said she's welcome to come and get the car anytime that she wants. Then I would talk to Jackie. Jackie's like, no, I don't want the car.
Why didn't you just, listen, you're driving her car now for 3 months. If you had to go and rent a car, you couldn't have done that for less than $200 a month. That's clear. So why didn't you just say to your daughter, because I've been using your car for 2.5 months, and because it's not a new car, and if it needs things, could be because of the way I drove it, the mileage I put on the car, I'll have it fixed, I'll have it inspected, I'll take care of it for you, honey. Thanks for letting me use it for the last 3 months.
It wasn't 3 months, Your Honor. It was only for a month and a half.
No, wrong. August, that's when you took it. September, and according to you, 2 weeks into October. That's 3 months. Because when you lease a car, if you only use it for 2 weeks, you pay for the whole month, right? That's what a mother does. Mother doesn't say, oh, this is a real good opportunity for me to get myself a good car.
That's not what I did.
That's exactly what you did. Did you say to your daughter, listen, you did me a favor, I'll take care of getting the car inspected, tagged. Did you say that to her?
No,
That's what a mother does. That's what a mother does. Where's the car title?
The one in my name or the one in hers?
The one in your name. Bird, figure out where she signs that title back to her daughter.
Where it says seller.
Yeah, signature seller up here. Sign and print your name.
Give the title to the plaintiff, please, Bird. Go pick up your car, madam. Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
My daughter did not want the car. Her father had given her a lot of problems about letting me have the car.
I do want the car. I need the car. I have a daughter I have to support.
Her father was going to throw her out of the house if she did sell me the car.
My mother doesn't know what she's talking about. I filed papers before my father said that, any of that.
I couldn't believe that she was taking me to court.
My mom has a way of manipulating people.
I guess lying wins.
She's really never been there for me my whole life, and I've always wanted her to be there.
She's still my daughter.
I hope that I can...
So you were 19, you were a baby, you were...
I was 16 when we got together.
And how old are your children?
3 and 16 months.
According to your complaint, things in the relationship went south. You had gone to bartend at a party. Mr. Kiwi came to the party. He didn't like the way you were dressed. He thought you were being flirtatious. You even went so far as to wear makeup. There was an altercation, and you left.
Yes.
Him.
Yes.
Took the children, and you went to your mother's?
Yes.
According to your complaint, he refuses to return your personal property.
Yes.
That's what the case is about. And that personal property, you're talking about your clothing?
Yes.
And your children's clothing?
Yes.
What else?
My daughter's TV and DVD player that my mom bought her for Christmas.
Your daughter, who's 3 years old, got a TV and a DVD player?
Yes.
Get over it. Now, Mr. Kiwi, let's deal with this one thing at a time, sir. Do you have her clothing?
No, I allowed her to come over on an agreement. On December 23rd, they agreed to me that I wouldn't call the police on them, that they could come over and...
What happened to her clothing?
She came and got it with her mother and stepfather.
What
and
about
all
the
of her
children's
stuff.
clothing?
She took some of it, but basically almost all of it, and left me with like a couple pairs of clothes that don't even fit them.
Did you go there with your mother?
Yes, I didn't get all of my clothes. I still had some clothes there, and I didn't take all the kids' clothes. There's still clothes in totes in the garage that fit the girls.
Well, just a second. He's their father. Who bought the clothes?
He did. My mom did. His mom did. His sister did.
Well, you can't take all the clothing.
I
You're
don't want all
supposed
the
to have-
clothes.
You took some.
Yes.
Good. So, and some he has.
Yes.
Now, your clothing.
Yes. I have a few pairs of jeans over there, some more shirts over there.
You're talking about nonsense. You're talking about little stuff. What are you suing him for? I mean, I don't get it. You were together 5 years. We're not talking about a couple of pairs of jeans, madam.
No, but they're mine. I should be able to get them.
Well, do you have her jeans?
I found one pair of jeans that was in the dirty clothes, and that's
All right,
the only reason she
so
didn't
pack
take
it up and get it over to her.
Yeah.
Now, let's get to your mother. I can't stand to deal with nonsense. You say that you loaned him $1,000 to fix his truck.
Yes.
When?
It was September 12th
What year?
of 2006.
Did she give you $1,000 to fix your truck?
No, she found a gentleman who at a bar who works on vehicles, and at first I was going to sell my Explorer to him, parted it out.
Did
but then
she
he
pay
said he could-
$1,000 to have your truck fixed?
Yes, but
Okay. Now, it is your defense to that
yes.
that you had loaned her $3,000 a year before.
Well, I took out a loan for $3,000 because I was $1,000 behind on rent, so I paid $1,000 on rent, and I gave her $2,000 so their house would not be foreclosed on because they've took out like 4 mortgages on their home.
When did you give her the $2,000?
Before the Explorer was fixed.
Do you have any proof of that?
The only thing that I would have had was be like from my bank that say I paid off the loan, but unfortunately I didn't bring that because it's not paid off yet.
Okay. Tell me how it came about that you gave her the $2,000. Tell me about it. You know, I'm a good judge of what's true
Dora
and what's
was
not.
crying, and I felt sorry for him because I thought we were family then, but I can see, I guess we're not. And I was just being nice and helping
No,
him
tell
out.
me how it came about. Did she come to you and tell
No.
you she needed the money?
No, she spoke to Dora, and Dora was telling me
Dora,
about it.
look at me. When was it that your mother
was-
fell? Look at me. I didn't finish the question yet. When did your mother fall behind in her mortgage payments?
It was back in 2005, and he did loan her $2,000, but it wasn't from a loan. It was with his 2005 income tax.
I don't care what it was from.
2006.
Your mother said it was 2006.
It was 2006.
So, how much money did you receive from him?
$2,000, and it was paid back in monthly payments of $500 a month, starting with the month of April and ended in the month of August.
Show me.
I gave it to Dora, and they paid their rent with it.
She gave me cash.
This was never brought up about the $2,000. This was prior. We'd borrowed the money from him, and I've only got one mortgage on my house. I don't have 4 mortgages.
Whatever, you have 4 mortgages, you have 1 mortgage. He loaned you $2,000. When?
It was in March.
March of what year?
2006.
And what month did she fix the truck? September of '06.
Yes.
And how much did you pay him back, according to you?
I paid him $500 a month for 4 months, starting in the month of April. It was originally agreed that we were going to start paying in May, the $500, but they were low on money at the time and stuff, so I started paying the money back in April. I paid him back $500 in April, $500 in May, $500 in June, and $500 in July.
Did she pay you back any of the money?
Not all of it.
How much did she pay you back?
I'm not sure. She'd give the money to Dora like she'd say, and then Dora would say that she was paying us, but I didn't see any of the money.
In what month did your mother give you the first payment of $500?
Around the 3rd of April because we didn't have our rent money.
And when did she give you the second payment?
Towards the end of May because we spent it on my daughter's 3rd birthday party.
End of May. And when did she give you the third payment?
Sometime in June, I don't know when, and the last payment, I guess sometime in July. I don't remember the exact date, but she paid us back, and that's why she made the agreement to fix the Explorer for us because we were down on money then.
Tell me how it came about that you paid this $1,000 for him.
My daughter had called me. Scott also has a Ford Escort. It had
Just tell me, your daughter called you and what?
Their Ford Escort was broke down. Scott did not have transportation to go to work. She was upset because she didn't want him to lose his job because the Escort was broke down. I loaned him some money to help for parts on that, and then I said that I would pay for the Explorer to be fixed so that they would have 2 cars that were running, because at that time Dora was trying to find a job so she could make income also. So I loaned him the money. I have a gentleman that I work where I work.
Listen to me. You have no contract with him. If you had any contract at all, it was with your daughter.
You
know, just because they're no longer together, which is what's happened, just because they're no longer together doesn't mean that you come to court and you claim things that really aren't so.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Do you see your children now?
Every now and then. And when I go over there to see my kids, her mother comes out and stepfather and tries to kick my butt, so I got ex partes against.
Real people. Judge Judy. 21-year-old Dora Speicher and her mother, Brenda Waters, are suing the father of Dora's children, Leonard, to get his car fixed, the return of belongings, and pain and suffering.
Sounds to me as if he wasn't totally a bad guy. A little controlling, perhaps. You know you're a little controlling, Mr. Kiwi.
Yeah.
But it doesn't sound like he's a bad guy. He thought you were all family. He gave you $2,000 from his tax returns when you needed it. He didn't even ask to see the return of the money. You say you gave it to your daughter. She did whatever she wanted to do with it. She paid bills, she paid the rent, she did everything. She never showed it to him. And he was the only one working, right? So he was making a family. Just because they're no longer together and things aren't good anymore doesn't mean that you come to court over a pair of jeans that was in the laundry and fixing the truck so that your daughter would have a car and the boyfriend would have a car.
She never got the
now,
car.
Do me a favor. Do me a favor. I have other things to do today. You have a counterclaim?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, your counterclaim says that you don't see your children.
Yes.
That's your counterclaim.
Yes.
That's for a different court, sir.
Okay.
Are you in another court about seeing your children?
Yes.
Do you see your children now?
Every now and then, but it's a very big hassle because they will not take my children to the designated spot because it is not in writing. So since it's not in writing, they make me go to their house, and they know I cannot go over there because I have an ex parte. And when I go over there to see my kids, they call the police. Her mother comes out and stepfather and tries to kick my butt, so I got ex partes against them as well, her mother and stepfather.
What arrangement? Uncross your arms. What arrangements have you made for Mr. Kiwi to see his children? Don't look over there.
We have called
over
him, and my sister calls him at work because I can't speak to him, calls him at work, tells him to meet my dad up the road at a store called Clyde's. He always makes an excuse that his car is broke down, he doesn't have gas, he can't get to where it is. So my dad drives to Steve's, a gas station that's closer to him, and drops off the girls.
When was the last time you saw the children?
2 weeks ago. He's supposed to get them this weekend.
And before the last visitation, when was the last time you saw the children?
2 weekends before that.
Okay. Well, you're going to have to deal with the courts about that, Mr. Kiwi. You understand that?
Yes.
I suggest that you get whatever you need in writing, get it in writing. Do you understand?
Yes.
Very good. Okay. This case is going to be resolved this way. I want you to go into the laundry, and I want you to get her pair of jeans that she left there, put it in an envelope, and mail it back to her. Do you understand?
Yes.
Other than that, the case is dismissed. Goodbye.
Why is that excused when they step out?
He has tons of guns, and he had pulled them and threatened to shoot me before.
I never threatened to kill her with no guns.
If I would do my hair and makeup, I was trying to sleep with everybody.
Well, she had never worn makeup before, ever in her life.
I told him I wasn't, but he didn't believe me.
And then she started wearing it to go to an bar.
All parties in the matter of Zuloff versus Steck. Step forward, please.
24-year-old Nicole Johnson is suing her neighbor, 23-year-old Sally Jones, for the cost to fix her car. Nicole claims Sally's son, 5-year-old Darian, scratched her paint job with rocks.
Miss Johnson, your complaint is that Miss Jones's son, that would be this little tyke over here, vandalized your car with some sort of an implement. You want her to pay for the damage. Miss Jones says, well, she's not sure if her son did it, and if he did it, he had an accomplice of similar age, and why aren't you suing the accomplice too? That's your defense.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, Miss Jones, let me ask you this question. If you believe that your son was responsible for part of the damage, you would acknowledge that and would be prepared to pay for part of the damage. Would that be a fair statement?
Yes, ma'am.
What proof do you have that Miss Jones's son, because you didn't see it, vandalized your car?
I have a witness who says she saw him do it.
Okay. When did this happen?
July 11th at approximately 7:30, 8 a.m.
And the witness that you had would be this little girl?
Mm-hmm.
And she's 5?
Yes.
Whose child is she?
One of our other neighbors. Her name's Michaela.
Michaela, would you like to come up and talk to me?
Okay. You all right? Okay.
Hi, Michaela. You know who I am? You don't know? Do you know why you're here? And you don't know why you're here. Who did you come with today? Oh, I see this is going to be interesting. Do you know this little boy? Is he a friend of yours? Do you know Miss Jones? Is she a neighbor of yours? Can you talk? Can you tell me your full name? Let me hear.
Michaela.
And what's your last name, Michaela?
Michaela and Timon.
Do you want to talk to me about what happened with Miss Johnson's car? You want to tell me what happened? Okay, tell me what happened.
He spit on a car.
He spit on the car? Did you see him do that? Did you see him do anything else to the car, Michaela? What else did you see him do?
He scratched it.
What did he scratch it with?
A rock.
Did you see him with the rock in his hand? Did you have a rock in your hand? Was anybody else with him when he had the rock in his hand?
No.
But you're sure you saw him scratch the car with a rock? After you saw him scratch the car, Michaela, did you go and tell anybody? Who did you tell?
His parents.
His parents? Oh, did you tell them right away? Okay. You can go and sit down now. Thank you. So Michaela came and told you that about that?
No, ma'am.
She never came and told you about it?
No, ma'am.
Did she tell you?
I called. I assume that from the way the marks are, they're huge, just circles, scribbles, they're all at very low positions. I assumed it was a child, and I assumed that if I asked enough children, one of them would tell on the other. So I called her parents and I said, you know, later on today when the kids are home, please ask them if they saw anyone playing around Miss Nikki's car. And in the background, I could hear her say, I did, I saw Darian. And her mom said, will you do me a favor? Will you go outside and on Mommy's car, will you touch the spots that you saw him touching on Miss Nikki's car? And she said, okay. She's touching the hood, the driver's side door, and the passenger door on the same side as the driver's side. And she said, is that right? And I said, yeah, that's exactly where the damage is.
Tell me your name.
Darian.
Darian, I want you to come up here and sit up here and talk to me. Trouble, a handful.
Yes, thank you. I do know that.
A handful.
Okay. Tell me just, okay?
Me and Michaela did it.
You and Michaela both did it? Well, tell me how that happened, Darian.
Me and Michaela had rocks.
Well, how many rocks did you have in your hand?
1.
And where did you get the rock from?
Off the ground.
And what about Michaela? Did she have a rock too?
Yeah.
So why did you decide to scratch Miss Johnson's car?
No.
Well, does your mom have a car?
Yeah, great.
Hmm?
Great.
She has a great car. Darian, if you saw children scratching your mother's car, would you be angry with them? Because that's not the right thing to do, right? And your mommy would be very upset that somebody scratched her car, wouldn't she? She would be sad. Are you ever going to do that again? Because you know you can get into trouble for doing that to other people's property, right? How many marks did you make on the car? And how many marks did Michaela make on the car? So you made more marks than Michaela. Did Michaela make bigger marks than you or littler marks than you? She made smaller marks than you. Show me with your hands how big were the marks that you made on the car. Big ones. And she made little ones. Is that right? She made little ones, and show me your size. The ones you made were bigger ones. Now, when your mom asked you about Miss Johnson's car, did you tell her the truth right away?
My dad.
You told your dad the truth right away? And what did you tell him?
I scratched it.
And when did you tell your mom and your dad that Michaela was there too?
I didn't tell him. I only told my dad.
When did you tell your dad that Michaela was there too? Did you tell him right away, or did you tell him later?
Right away.
Go and step down. I have a feeling he did a little more damage than Michaela did, but my sense is that Michaela was there. Made a few little marks. Miss Johnson, I know that you don't like to believe it, but cute little Michaela scratched your car. Didn't do as much damage as this little guy did. And in his own 5-year-old way, he really told me the truth about that, because I don't know how many scratches were on the car, but clearly he said he did more than she did. And when I asked him, you saw, how big were her scratches? He said, well, they were really teeny. Mine were bigger. Well, one gets the sense that at least he's telling the truth, that there was some co-participation.
And she said that she helped him wipe them off with the spit so that he wouldn't get into trouble. That's what she told her mom.
Oh, okay.
She said, I helped, he spit all over the car, and I helped him rub them off, but they weren't coming off.
Okay. So you get it. Okay. So I think that Michaela's folks have to be responsible for some of the damage to the car.
I also have rental car receipts because they said it's going to take 4 to 5 days. So I have $182.04 because they won't do it on the weekend, not all of it, and I work about 45 minutes from home.
Okay.
So I have a rental car receipt for $182.04.
$422. That's half. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $422. Thank you.
Oh, he's
Thank you. Smart but a handful, Miss Jones.
Thank you. Well, I mean, it was 7:30 in the morning, and a 5-year-old child shouldn't be outside by itself.
Kids being kids.
The children being children wouldn't happen if children weren't or were being supervised.
No, I took responsibility for half of the car, which was the fight from the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, the version that I got of the story was that only one child was involved.
And that's what I wanted to get across, that it wasn't all my responsibility. It wasn't just my child.
So, yeah, I mean, if her son wasn't the only culprit, then yeah, I imagine that's fair.
I think that
56-year-old Candace Harris is suing her ex-boyfriend, 32-year-old Frank Boswell, for an unpaid loan and for trading in a Camaro that didn't belong to him. Candace claims Frank is a scammer.
Miss Harris, you met the defendant online. Is that how you met him?
Correct, Your Honor.
And according to what I read, you began a relationship with him, and at some point, according to you, you let him borrow a car that you had that you weren't using.
Correct.
And he had the car for many months. The relationship soured. You went to get the car and found out that Mr. Boswell had forged your name to the title of the car and either sold or traded it in for something else.
That's correct.
You also claim that you loaned him some money before this in 2005, and I'm telling you right now, Ms. Harris, I'm not entertaining that. Because according to what you said in your complaint, you sent him this money with the understanding that when he got back on his feet, he would pay you back.
Correct.
That's what you said. Mr. Boswell is going to tell me he never got back on his feet. That's not a loan. It has to be objective, not subjective. Mr. Boswell will tell some people he's on his feet and tell other people that he's not on his feet. You have children, sir?
Yes, I do.
How many?
One.
That child live with you?
No.
You pay child support?
Yes, I do.
You pay as much as the mother of that child wants?
No.
Right. Because you're not really on your feet. See what I mean? Things are very predictable in this life. I could have written this script before I even asked him a question. Now, when did you let Mr. Boswell borrow your car?
He came to see me on September 29th in 2005. It was at my house for many months, being unused.
So you let Mr. Boswell borrow it. What was the arrangement?
The arrangement was that he would use my car. He was trying to get his career started in music, rap business, and it would be a nice car for him to drive with a little bit more prestige maybe than what the vans he had. And we never discussed when I would get it back. However, in March...
After he got on his feet.
Yes. In March, I discovered there was other women involved in his life besides me who were also helping him out financially till he got on his feet.
I could have also told you that.
Yes, ma'am. And it escalated to the point where more and more women started showing up. On June 20th was when he sold the car. I have the documents here that show
Now,
it was...
Mr. Boswell, how much did you sell the car for, sir?
I actually didn't sell the car. I traded the car.
How much did they give you for it?
They just traded me another car straight across.
Really?
Yeah,
But you forged her name to the title.
I did that.
You can't do that, Mr. Boswell.
Why would someone give me a car and give me the title if they loaned it to me?
Who paid for the insurance?
She did.
And whose name was the insurance in?
Isn't it hers?
You got my message? It's her car. If she meant to pass title to you, she would have signed the title over to you, and then you would have insured the car in your name.
Then why did she give me the title in the
Are
first
you
place?
asking me a question, smarty pants?
Yes,
Don't you
I am.
ask me a question, sir. I ask the questions, you give the answers. I want to tell you, you may find a lot of women that find you attractive. I am not one of them.
Oh. I can dig that.
I'm glad you can. What kind of car do you have now?
1990 Lexus LS400.
How many miles did it have on it when you took
276.
it? 276
Yes.
miles? Is that your car?
No,
ma'am.
her car.
My car
her car was a Camaro.
It had 126,000 miles. It's a 95 Camaro.
When I traded it, it had 143,000 miles on it.
What's the blue book value of your car, madam?
It is, Your Honor. It's $4,025.
Is that in good, fair?
That's the medium. It's in the...
Now, Miss Harris, you seem like an intelligent lady.
I would hope so.
You know the old saying, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck? Did you ever hear that expression?
Yes, ma'am.
If it walks like a deadbeat and looks like a deadbeat, it's a deadbeat. You're supposed to know the difference at your stage in life.
Correct.
Do you understand? Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,000. That's all.
These are excused. You may step out.
I just feel like, you know what I'm saying, it was a misunderstanding.
I found out that there were other women in other states.
Some ex-girlfriends of mine got online and emailed her
There's one in Nevada. There's one in California.
and told her things about me that put questions in her mind.
There's one in Indiana, Tennessee, Texas.
They basically hating the player and not the game.
We're all still actively seeing Mr. Boswell as their exclusive.
You know, they ain't really respecting the game. So
You were sort of helping him out at a time that he needed to be helped out financially. He's counterclaiming because he says that in a fit of rage, you damaged his car, his clothes, and he also believes that you harassed him. That's his counterclaim. So tell me when you met him.
I met him in August of last year.
And when did you lend him the money?
Of last year.
Tell me about it.
John had lost his job and he couldn't pay his rent.
When did he lose the job?
November.
What kind of job did you have, Mr. Bambino?
Car salesman, ma'am.
How long did you have that job with that company?
7 months.
Before that, where did you work?
As a correction officer for the state of New Jersey.
How long were you working there?
15 years.
Go ahead.
In December, I was coming into some money through a lawsuit, and I had extra money, and, you know, he asked me to lend him his rent money for the month of December, and that's what it was. I lent him the money.
How much was it?
It was $1,200.
$1,200 for rent. Go ahead.
And one bill is $452.07.
What was that for?
A home entertainment system.
Who bought a home entertainment
that
system?
I bought for him, that he was supposed to pay me back for.
No. Miss Smoot, listen to me carefully. If somebody doesn't have money to pay his own rent, then you don't buy him a home entertainment center and expect him to pay you back. You're not a baby, right?
Right, Your Honor.
What else?
Cable bill, $100. I have a check that he wrote, that I gave him a blank check to take to the doctors that has his name in the memo for $80.
Did she give you a blank check to pay a doctor?
Yes, ma'am.
What else?
A gas bill for $100 in December.
$100 even?
Well, it was, his gas bill is way more than that, but I only paid $100 on it.
Go ahead.
2 checks for food, one for $87.40. and one for $42.71.
Made out to whom?
To Acme.
Did you use those 2 checks?
No, I wrote them.
He doesn't know you for that.
Okay.
What else?
That's it.
Okay, Mr. Bambino. Ball is in your court, sir. Where are you working now?
Chevrolet 73.
So you're back to work?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. So Ms. Smoot says that you said, if you pay my rent, as soon as I get a job, I'll pay you back. You say that's not true. Tell me what happened, Mr. Bambino. By the way, how old are you, sir?
43.
Have you been married?
Yes, ma'am.
You have children?
I have 2 daughters.
How old are they?
17 and 24.
When did you last live with them?
I have custody of my younger. Actually, I've had custody of both since my divorce in '98. I have custody of my youngest now.
So how are you supporting the children?
My mother helps me out, but I mean, I just ran into a tough time between, like, let's say the Monday before Thanksgiving, and I started my new job January 5th.
Right.
So it was approximately 6 weeks.
So what you're telling me is your mother helps you out.
She helped me out in that particular time frame, yes, in the beginning of January.
Go ahead, I'm listening.
I met Tina, as she said, in the middle of August. We started the date.
Would you try looking at me
sorry, yes,
rather than
ma'am.
keeping
Sure.
your eyes closed? It's disrespectful.
I'm sorry. I met her in the middle of August at a club over in Philadelphia. Approximately 2 weeks later, she accused me of staring at a woman on the track. She told me to get in her Jeep. She started to give me a ride, which was the ride from hell. She just started driving down the interstate, doing approximately 70, 75 miles an hour, weaving in and out of traffic.
But after that, you took money from her.
No, well, ma'am, it's...
Listen to me. After that, you took money from her, so I'm not interested in a ride
I didn't
from
take
hell.
money.
Yes, you did.
She gave me the money, ma'am.
That's not what I said. I said you took money from her.
Yes.
After the ride from hell, which would have put me in a different county from somebody like that, you took money from her.
Yes.
Right. Did you think that the story you were going to tell me was going to make you a sympathetic character?
Not at all.
Good. Let's get to the money. Come on.
Oh, well, after several pretty bizarre things that Tina pulled between September and December, I tried cutting off the relationship several times. Tina's texts me 15, 20 times a day, calls me, begs me to let her back into our relationship, start our relationship over.
Is this your child?
No, ma'am. She's a witness in this factor. Tina, I let back in approximately times between September 1st all the way up to the February 11th. She just constantly says I'm cheating on her.
You want to know something? You want to tell the sad story? Go on Dr. Phil.
Right.
To me, I want to know. To me, I want to know about the money.
The money. Tina would manipulate things and try to get me to let her back in. And after 3 or 4 weeks of constant texting me every day and please begging me to let her come back and start the relationship over, I did it several times. Tina...
Bambino, listen to me carefully. Get to the money.
I am?
In December, she may be desperate and she may find something about you attractive. Mr. Bambino, I do not.
I know that.
You are 43 years old. You look every day of it.
I know.
And then some. And Mr. Bambino, and then some. I have children who are 43 years old, sir. That's not you. That's the first thing. Second thing is, let's get to the money in December. Excuse me, you date him? No. Perfect. Get to the money.
All right, I let Tina come back over in early December. She laid $1,200 on my couch and said, pay your bills with this. I don't care when you give it back to me, just pay your bills. She insisted. I did pay. I paid my rent with it, of course. The other things, utilities, she paid the $100 for the heating bill.
Mr. Bambino, how do you think Miss Smoot knew that you didn't pay your utility bills and that you didn't pay your rent? How do you think?
By communicating
By you
with
telling
her.
her. And it was that kind of casual conversation that inspired her to leave the $1,200 on the table for you?
Yes, ma'am.
Ah. And it was at that time that you were concerned about her bizarre behavior that she exhibited 6 or 7 times.
Over that 6-month frame, yes.
Now, you were a corrections officer for 15 years, sir. You knew that there were certain prisoners that were dangerous,
Sure.
right?
Yes, ma'am.
And when you were dealing with a dangerous prisoner, there were certain protocols. You made sure that you didn't put yourself in harm's way. That was your training, right?
Absolutely.
So here you're dealing with a lunatic, somebody who over the course of 6 or 7 months is doing crazy, bizarre things. So instead of cutting it off, you know where the courthouse is. So if you know if somebody is stalking you, somebody is annoying you, you go to the courthouse and you say, this person is stalking me, annoying me, I need a protective order. Instead, you had somebody stalking you, you took their money. No. You took their money. I didn't say loan, I didn't say gift, I said you took their money. Well, you did. You just told me that, Mr. Bambino. You told me she was stalking you, harassing you, doing all kinds of bizarre things, and she put $1,200 down on the table, and she paid your bills, and you took it. That's what you just told me.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You have to be a nice man, Mr. Bambino.
Cases, real people. Judge Judy. Tina Smoot claims ex-boyfriend John Bambino owes for a loan to help with his living expenses. John is countersuing for harassment and claims Tina intentionally damaged his property.
Okay. Now, it is your claim, Mr. Bambino, your counterclaim, that the plaintiff damaged your property, harassed you, and damaged your clothing. You want to tell me when that happened and where?
Yeah, first week in November, Tina was going to North Carolina for a wedding.
And when did she give you the money, sir?
December.
On a sympathy scale, sir, of 1 to 10, this is about going to be a -5, because what you're going to tell me is that she, again, acted like a nut, but you took money from her the next month, right?
Yes.
Keep going.
She told me she would let me borrow her Jeep. I dropped off my friend's automobile that I was using at the time, which was a female friend of mine for 18 years. Tina, in the process, went in the glove box and found out who the car belonged to. She took a pen and ripped the whole roof of the inside of the car, ripped the leather on the seats, took a soda and threw it all over my clothes in the back. That's the incident in November.
Why did you do that, Tina?
I didn't go to that extreme.
What did you... Tina.
What happened?
Why did you do it?
I didn't do that, Your Honor.
Yes, you did. You did some of it.
I called him and told him to bring my Jeep.
What did you do to the stuff in the car?
I poured soda on his clothes, that was all.
You poured soda on his clothes. Is there a police report with regard to the damage to this friend's car?
No, ma'am, but I have pictures.
It's not your car.
It's not my car.
Did you fix the car?
Not yet.
Then you're not the person who can file this claim against Miss Smoot. That would be the car owner.
Yes, ma'am.
And as far as throwing soda on your clothes?
So what?
You owe her $1,480. You have to be a nice man, Mr. Bambino.
I'm a very nice man.
No, you're not. If she's a nut, you're not supposed to take advantage of people who are not balanced. If you actually believe that Miss Smoot is not balanced, then what you're supposed to do is not be a cad and take advantage of her financially. You're supposed to say, I don't want your money. I don't want it as a gift. I don't want it as a loan. I don't want you in my life. I don't want that at all because I don't think you're balanced. I think that you should take this money and use it well by going to see a doctor who will maybe give you some medication to help you feel better. Instead, what you did is you took advantage of her because you're not a nice person. Nice people don't take advantage of sick people. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,480. Your counterclaims dismissed. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It was all a big joke. To him, anyhow.
That's totally not the case. It's totally not the case.
She thinks that something's going on between us. We're just co-workers. She's a little insane. She needs some medicine.
That's what she thinks.
I feel bad because she's not a bad person. She's got 2 beautiful daughters.
First of all, I don't have 2 daughters. I have a daughter and a son.
I'm not going to date women ever again.
I will never let anybody take advantage of me again.
I'm going to do a background check and...
All parties in the matter of Harris versus Boswell. Step forward.
Divorced.
92.
And for how long did the boys live with their father?
They never have.
Never.
Until one of them was kidnapped.
My question to you is, during what times did the boys live with their father?
The youngest one has never lived with him. The oldest one went there for a Thanksgiving vacation and never came back. In,
what year?
98.
Who's the older? You went to live with your father in 1998 until when, sir?
2006.
So you lived there for 8 years?
Yes.
Did you see your brother
No.
while you lived there?
No.
Okay. It is your claim, Miss Roscoe, that your husband's former wife, the first Mrs. Roscoe, I assume the first...
She's the second.
The second Mrs. Roscoe. You are the third Mrs. Roscoe.
I'm the fourth.
You're the fourth Mrs. Roscoe.
Yes.
He's got something...
You're the fifth.
Well,
elusive, but he has something.
No.
Has been harassing you.
Right. I need to clarify
Go ahead.
what they said.
First of all, Sean did not live with Bob until 2006 because he moved into my house in 2004 because he had nowhere else to go.
Is that right? You were with your stepmother?
No, I stayed with friends mainly because of, I didn't
ask you for any other reason. Your complaint is that she harasses you.
Yes.
You want her to stop. She says
Right.
she doesn't harass you, you harass her. You want to know who's harassed?
The kids.
Me.
Oh. Well, that's true.
So, Mrs. Roscoe, the fourth Mrs. Roscoe, that would be you.
Yes.
You have 5 minutes to tell me how she's harassing you
Okay.
legally.
All right, it started in 2004 when Sean moved into my house. Bob did not live there. Sean did. He had nowhere else to go, so I let him stay with me. She found out how old I was, and it started from that point on. I have always been mistress, lot lizard. What else? All
Don't
kinds of
ask
stuff.
her.
Okay. I have emails. I have certified letters. She sent the same letter 3 times, 2 by certified mail, after she paid to get our address. This is the certified letter that she sent. And I have the email where she stated she would pay $50 to get our address again after she had contacted my ex-husband and his family members through Christmas and New Year's every year for 2 years.
I'm not interested in your ex-husband and his family. You're suing her.
Right, but she's trying to get our address. They don't
Listen
give
to
it,
me.
so she buys it. So
She
she
got your
sent the
address.
email she would pay
She
for
got
it.
your address. So
Right, but
let's go.
for
What
what
is the
purpose?
other harassment? Let's go.
Well,
go. You had 5 minutes
okay.
of moving.
All right, I'm trying. She says that the kids are not allowed to talk to their dad yet. They have an address, they have email addresses, and a phone number where they can contact him.
I haven't heard anything yet, madam, that amounts to legal harassment.
Okay.
Keep going.
Threatening to have my kids taken away from me. I live in
Just a
every
second.
day.
Just a second. Show me where she threatened to have your children taken
Okay.
away from you.
All right. In here, you'll see several references to where she's talked to my in-laws, my ex-in-laws, and she's surprised that they allow me to keep the kids there. She has made contact with them and tried to...
So what? Who cares?
I mean, there's no reason for her to bring me into her and Bob's business. Those are their kids. It was his support.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, Miss Roscoe. There's no reason for her to get involved with you and your children and your former in-laws or anybody else. That's not legally actionable. It's just bad behavior. I'm waiting for something legally actionable. Like somebody calling you 150 times a day.
Well, we've had...
Like somebody posting things about you on the internet, defamatory statements, like somebody parking themselves outside your home with a constant surveillance of your home and police reports to follow that up.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying to
Yes,
you?
I
So
do.
far I see annoying, so far I don't see legal.
Okay, here's where she states about my kids, give it time, I may not have them at all. This has been going on for years.
Miss Roscoe, just because you say it's been going on for years doesn't mean it's been going on for years.
Okay, well, I've highlighted the majority of the parts. Right here, teach your children well for as long as you have them. It's not so much...
Just a second.
Okay.
Have you ever told the truth? I figured out that you lie almost as well as your boyfriend. You can't beat
That's
him, he's the
right.
best. But you come to a close second. Who wrote that?
That's her.
And then teach your children well for as long as you have them. Well, that's a good idea. Teach your children well for as long as you have them, because you won't have them forever. You could have gotten rid of me by having my son call, but that would have been too easy.
Her son was 21 years old and had known her number for years. He did not even live in my house. He lived with his girlfriend where he had a restraining order put on him.
Do you answer these messages?
I used to. I deleted that name so she wouldn't have it anymore.
So you answered her?
Sometimes, yeah, when I took all I could take. Yeah.
Oh,
and I
so
called the
good.
police.
Very good.
And
Keep going. Your 5 minutes are almost
okay.
up.
Every time Bob would send her an email about the interest on the child support that she got or anything, she would answer it to me.
So what?
Well, she has a history of harassing him and being mean and violent. This is a letter
Did
from
you
her
ever
own.
file a police report?
I tried.
What do you mean you tried? What does that mean, you tried?
Because they said it would be civil. They could not do anything criminally unless I could prove something civilly. So that's why
No, that's not true. That's a lot of baloney.
They
could not do something criminally unless you could prove something civilly? It's ridiculous.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You know my name. I'm going to go find your little boy. And by the time I'm done with him, he won't be leaving Ohio for a while because he'll be in the hospital.
And later today,
If she meant to pass title to you, you would have insured the car in your name.
Why did she give me the title in
Are
the
you
first place?
asking me a question, smarty pants?
Yes,
Don't you
I am.
ask me a question. I ask the questions, you give the answers.
Beverly Roscoe claims her husband's ex-wife, Deborah Roscoe, harasses her constantly. Deborah is accusing Beverly of harassing her.
All right, let's hear about her harassment of you.
Okay, that would probably be the better way to start.
Go ahead.
It began between 99 and 2000. She started contacting my youngest son in Washington over the internet, and when I finally seen Beverly Joe 99 come popping up a lot of times, I finally asked my son, I says, who is this Beverly Joe? Well, that's Dad's girlfriend. And I said, no, it can't be Dad's girlfriend because he's been married since 95. Well, that's Dad's girlfriend. What's she want? She wants me to go to the airport and she'll send me a ticket and I can go to Ohio. I said, oh, no, you're not going to Ohio. I said, I lost one son that went there for a Thanksgiving and was refused to be sent home. I said, you're not going. She continued to write, and he got to the point where he got belligerent with her. So then all of a sudden, she wasn't nice to him no more. He was going to be put into the mental institute, and that started things.
You complain that she's harassed you. You have 5 minutes to tell me how.
I have blocked her from her name from my addresses, my emails, my IMs. She now goes under my ex-husband's IMs. She posted my social security number over the internet January 29th of 2006.
Why did you do that?
During those messages that you have right there, the way she was carrying on about how she was going to come and sit in my driveway and how she was going to stay at my ex-in-laws and stuff until she could get to me the next day and stuff. Yes, I did, just to shut her up, and it worked.
So you posted her social security number?
I called the cops. They wouldn't do anything about it. So and it wasn't
You deserve
posted.
each other.
It wasn't posted.
Absolutely deserve each other. Listen to me. Sounds to me like you two women deserve each other.
No, she just needs to leave my sons and I alone.
Listen to me. Madam, you have choices in this life. If what you're going to do is make a mission out of making each other's lives miserable, because somebody's got to start the text message and somebody's got to finish it. Right now, there is absolutely no reason to have any contact with each other. You have grown children. If they want to see their father, they will contact him. If they want to speak to him, they will contact you. They're big boys. So these two women have absolutely no reason to have any contact with each other. Is that right?
That's true.
Right.
Ma'am, I've got some more
Listen
evidence.
to me. Well, get to it, because now you have 2 minutes.
I've got some recordings I'd like you to listen to.
I am absolutely going to listen to recordings if you have them.
How did you work this? These are just a couple of the messages that come over my telephone.
You know my name. You ain't called me back within 5 minutes. I'm going to go find your little boy. And by the time I'm done with him, he will need you. But he won't be leaving Ohio for a while because he'll be in the hospital.
That was him.
That was
Yes, ma'am, that was me. Yes.
I would like to think that you're grown up enough to help for your son, who you have no idea what has become in 7 years. As a matter of fact, it was he who pushed me, and I refused to have the cops take him. Nobody called the cops on him. He walked out in front of a cop car and almost got hit, and they were going to arrest him for the way he was yelling and carrying on, and I told them just to let him get his stuff and leave. Now, if you think you can grow up and act like a 50-year-old mother, you can call me back and I will explain to you what happened. If you want to sit there and listen to his little pouty story that's all full, you go right ahead. But all you and Josh are doing is bob off to a point where the only person going to pay for you two sitting there acting like idiots is Sean. So if you think you can grow up and call me back, I'll be here for a
Nothing wrong with that message.
They get better.
She shut up. Listen to me. I didn't ask you for anything.
Okay. Wonderful mother that you portray yourself as. You would personally give it what's going on in your kid's life. But since you don't, that's fine. I will make sure he gets a ride back to Washington. You can either call me back and be mature, or I'll send him back via the Knox County Sheriff's Department. That's your choice.
Now, who's harassing who?
Just a sec. Shh. Quiet.
All I'm going to say is you better have made sure you got permission from his probation officer to take him out of the state, because she will know tomorrow that you did. You can either grow up and talk to me like a woman and quit calling Bob's cell phone like some tramp in heat, or I will file charges on you like they told me I could. And as for Sean, you're really teaching him a lot of responsibility to have him up and walk off of a job that he had for less than a month. Yeah, you're teaching him a lot, Deb.
Tired of him yet?
I haven't heard anything that's legally actionable, madam. Nothing.
No, it's just showing that who is calling who.
Listen to me. You text her, you write to her. She has. Listen,
go ahead and write
she
that.
had evidently, Mrs. Roscoe, she had your son at some point living in her home, this one, and there was clearly some difficulty with him in the home. I don't plan on getting into what it was because, quite frankly, I don't care. It has absolutely nothing to do with this lawsuit. All I have to tell you is people behaving badly does not create a lawsuit. Just listen to me very carefully. Mr. Wonderful over here got married 4 times. You have a short attention span, Mr. Roscoe. In any event, what the 2 wives have done is they've made their lives miserable, at least currently, with calling and writing and texting and whatever. It's time to say enough. Because these 2, whether they're good kids, whether they're not good kids, whether they're difficult, whether they're problems, right now, how old are you?
22.
And you?
20.
All grown up. It takes 2 to make an argument. 2. Right now, you have no reason to have any communication with each other. Do you speak to your sons?
I haven't since September.
That's their prerogative, sir. If for some reason they don't want to talk to you, that's it. But it has nothing to do with her. It has nothing to do with their mother, because they're big boys. And if they wanted to talk to you, they would. So I don't see any reason for you to have any further contact with each other. Why don't you both consent to an order that prohibits any contact whatsoever, either by mail, by telephone, by text message, by any form of communication that we know of in modern electronics?
I had reported her to her work to get her to
Your case
quit.
is dismissed, madam. You have no case. I mean, I ask you a question, you go back into history. I asked you, are you prepared to enter into an order that says, I will have no contact with the second Mrs. Roscoe, either in person, by mail, by telephone, telegraph, pigeon, or whatever?
I've tried to obtain
Are you prepared to enter into such an order?
You bet you, ma'am.
Very good. I'll have somebody prepare it back there. Thank you very much. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She's right. We both need to grow up, but more than act their age, because I act mine.
This old lady's like the Energizer Bunny. She just don't stop.
21-year-old Marvin Odom is suing his former friend, 22-year-old Mary Jackson, for the return of baby clothes. Mary is countersuing, claiming Marvin damaged a banister in her home while he was drunk.
I gather from your complaint that you and your girlfriend, who's pregnant, had nowhere to live. And you called up Miss Jackson and said, could we come in and stay with you for a little while? Miss Jackson, because she's a very nice lady, said, okay, right?
No, that's not really what happened.
Well, why don't you tell me what happened?
Miss Jackson insisted that we come stay with her because she was returning a favor because my girlfriend's mother helped her when she was pregnant with her first child.
But your mother didn't help her.
No.
Right? And you didn't help her.
No.
But you just came along with the package.
Yeah.
You and your pregnant girlfriend moved in with the defendant because she was being a nice person.
Well, yeah, you could say that.
I did say that. And things didn't work out.
Right.
Miss Jackson said things didn't work out because you got into argument with your girlfriend, you broke the banister in her house, then you got drunk, you fell down the stairs, you had to be taken to the hospital. Is any of that true, sir?
Not really.
Did you go to the hospital?
Yes, I was hospitalized.
Did you go to the hospital because you fell down the stairs?
Yes.
Was it the same stairs that had a broken banister from a couple of days before?
Yes.
And how did the banister get broken a couple of days before? Look at me. Don't look down here.
That I couldn't even tell you. All I have to say is that by the time I was in the hospital to the time I got out, I'm not hearing about the banister thing until small claims court.
In any event, at that point, when he went to the hospital, according to you, that was the time when you said, time to go.
Yeah.
That's when she told you she wanted you out, when you went to the hospital?
No, Your Honor.
When did she tell you she wanted you to go?
The first thing, she did not tell us we needed to go. We left because her and her boyfriend were arguing like the day I got out the hospital. I came back to the house. I stayed with my mother for like a total of 5 days. Well, the day we came back, they got into an argument, which then she called the police on him. By that time, they were throwing things around, you know. We were like, you know, this is crazy. Like, you know, we're friends and all, but we don't really want to, you know, budge in on them. While this is going on, like, every day, constantly, her and him fighting.
So you say you moved out because they were fighting?
Yeah, she
as
actually
opposed to
wanted
you
us
fighting. Now, when you were in the hospital, where was your girlfriend staying?
She was with my mother.
She left?
No, she never left. She stayed with me. She came and she took showers at my house. She used my hot water. She ate my food. And I was there for her because I'm a friend.
Just a second. Where was she living?
At my house.
You said she came back and she used your shower. What?
Yeah, because she was staying there while he was in the hospital, and then she would go back and visit him at the hospital.
Your Honor, I was only in the hospital for a matter of 2 days. That night that I went to the hospital, she stayed up there with me, because she was there when I woke up. And the second day, she went over to her father's house, because her father lives like 5 minutes away from the hospital.
Okay. In any event, you left. Your lawsuit claims that Miss Jackson kept $2,000 worth of baby's clothes that you were putting away for your baby. Miss Jackson says you can have them back when you pay for the banister.
No, it didn't go down like that, Your Honor.
Why would she keep your baby's clothes, sir, if you didn't break her banister?
I don't know.
When she let you move into the house. I don't understand that. She let you move into the house.
Yes.
And then you're telling me all of a sudden she became the Wicked Witch of the West and kept your unborn baby's clothes for no reason?
Yes, Your Honor. That's the way.
Well, that's strange. She doesn't look like a nut to me.
Your Honor, you wouldn't believe it, but no.
Listen to me. She's giving you the clothes back.
Okay.
Right? You have his clothes.
Yeah.
You can get the clothes back. So all I have to determine is how the banister got broken. How did it get broken?
I can't say, because at the time we were intoxicated and she was drinking.
How did the banister get broken?
It got broken because he left my home earlier that day. He came back in a drunken rage, fell down the stairs, and there he started having an asthma attack. My witness was there the whole time that this happened, and we weren't drunk because I don't drink around my kids.
Just get to the banister.
Okay, I'm sorry. What happened with the banister was that my daughter, my youngest daughter, she has reflux really bad, and I had to rush her to the emergency room. And when we come back from the hospital, my house is destroyed. It's trash. Everything is everywhere. And I go downstairs and I ask him, what happened, you know? And Marvin said, I'm sorry. I broke your banister while me and Kayla were fighting. And he said that he threw her into the banister and it broke. And he sat there right then and there and said that he would pay for it.
Good. How much is it, $100?
Yes.
Great. On the counterclaim, judgment for the defendant of $100. 5 days from today, you will box up clothing, and the clothing will all be returned. You have it? It's all in the same condition that they left it?
Yes.
You have any babies?
Yes, I have 2 of my own.
How old?
I have a 3-month and a year-old.
Okay. All of the baby clothes that they put together?
It's all separate because they left it in my basement.
Was it new clothes?
No, it was from the Goodwill.
No, Your Honor. These were clothes just bought in my girlfriend's mother. The day she gave us the clothes, we unwrapped
Your girlfriend's
everything.
mother gave you the clothes?
She bought them. She was buying them for over several months.
Good. So you must have the receipts for them.
We don't have receipts.
Oh, that's too bad.
But
5 days from today, you give them back all the baby clothes you have.
But
Okay?
here's the notarized
Perfect.
statement.
Thank you very much. On the counterclaim, you get $100.
Thank you.
That's to fix your banister. Goodbye. Have a happy life. Good luck with the...
Excuse me, step out.
She seen who was telling the truth.
She was lying the whole time.
I'm sorry. I tried to help a friend, and they tried to stab me in my back.
No, she stabbed us in the back, because when we left, there was no problem.
I tried to be a real friend.
She's an evil person.
Around 7 in the morning.
What were you doing at his house at 7 in the morning?
It wasn't 7. It was about 5:30. We had been out that evening, and he invited me back to his house, so we were at his house.
You had been out together in the evening?
Yes.
Is that right?
We met up later in the evening, yes.
Where?
At a bar.
Okay. So what happened at 5:30?
She had come back. We had been involved in a relationship for, a year and a half, and we had been intimate that night, and I had to go to work that morning. I was tired. I needed to get some sleep, so I asked her to leave. She did not want to leave. She basically wasn't satisfied and wanted me to continue. I told her I had to get some sleep. I asked her to leave. So that is when she left. When she left, she walked into the garage, knocked over a set of poker chips. I heard a loud noise, so I followed her. And at that time, she was walking out of the garage. I was tired. I wanted to get to sleep. I wanted to make sure she left. So I approached her. I went to put my hand on her, and as I did that, she turned into me. When that happened, she fell over. Immediately, I apologized, and I asked to help her up. After about a minute, she let me help her up. I gave her a hug and apologized, and then I went inside, and she got in her car.
All right, that's the basis for your application for protective order, that incident?
Yes, but that's not how it happened.
Now, you tell me your version of the incident.
Okay, we did get into the argument. I was leaving. I did knock off the poker chips off the table. I continued to keep walking. I never stopped at all. Alex behind me pushes me, and I fall from the garage onto the driveway. I fell on my complete left side. I was crying. He did not offer to help me up, did not apologize. I got up. I was crying. I asked him to apologize, and I left. I went home. I didn't tell anybody what happened. A couple days later, family members found out and told me to go file. so I went and filed charges on him.
Okay, so you filed for a protective order based upon this incident, and what happened when you went to court, Mr. Krollman?
Well, actually, I was going out of town the following weekend, and she had driven by and found out that I was home, so she called the cops, and they came and picked me up. I spent the night in downtown.
Okay.
So I got a lawyer the next day. And when we went to court, the charges ended up being dismissed.
You say that there was a protective order issued for 1 year.
Correct. We went to court in December for a CPO, civil protection order. It's a permanent restraining order against the temporary restraining order, per se.
Right. Well,
So
what happened with that?
that was granted December 19th of 2005.
Can I see it, please?
Yes. I'm sorry, it's December 21st.
So in Ohio, you can have a civil protective order as opposed to a criminal proceeding pending.
Correct.
Okay. Well, Mr. Krollman, you have already had a civil hearing on this matter, sir. Do you understand that?
Yes.
And the court in that hearing on December 19th, 2005, made findings. And one of the findings that the court made was that your actions caused her to be injured on November 10th, right?
Right.
Then you can't sue her, sir. I mean, if that's the incident that you're suing her over, you can't sue her.
They just basically said that there was no evidence supporting the facts that I caused those injuries. I have,
Oh, no,
I have a couple of things, if I may.
Just a second,
Sure.
though. The court says, inasmuch as petitioner's testimony about hitting the driveway because of the respondent's conduct is in part corroborated by the respondent, that's you, the court finds that the petitioner is a credible witness on that topic. So the court credited her version of the events. I don't sit as an appellate court. For that court, the same burden of proof exists in the two courts. There's already been a finding in that court with regard to your conduct, sir. With regard to that, the matter is what we call in legalese res judicata. I don't go back and look at facts again. They dismissed the case and sealed it criminally. Civilly, they found you liable, and they issued a civil protective order for a year. I'm prepared to hear what you have to say. If it's relevant, sir, I just told you what the law is. That's the law. We're not going to make new law here.
Okay.
You got it?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Okay. Basically, the whole reason that I believe all of this came out is in October, a month prior, I had filed for custody.
Did you tell that to the judge?
Yes.
In this proceeding?
Yes.
So the judge heard you?
Following that, a month later, she filed for that motion.
No, that's not true, sir. You're missing something. You filed for custody in October. You got together November 10th. She fell outside on November 10th. That's intervening. Go.
That same week that the charges were filed, she also sent me an email stating that let's check to see if either of us have a criminal record. All of this in lieu of her trying to build up a case for custody since she knew I'd filed for custody.
Well, listen to me. Mr. Krollman, look at me. Just for my own information. Why did you file for custody in October, sir?
Because she would not let me see my daughter unless it was just to talk about us. It was only, oh, I'll let you talk about us and then I'll let you see your daughter.
If that's true, terrible. Because she's got to understand this child has two parents, and the child is entitled to know both parents. She may not care for you anymore. That's not the child's problem. And sometimes women don't get that. They have to get it. Some judge has to tell them that those are the rules. However, sir, you filed for custody in October. You got together again in November. And I guarantee things in your application for custody that she didn't like, right?
Probably. I'm sure we both did.
And then she was trying to gather ammunition about you after you filed for custody, right?
Correct.
That's fair game, Mr. Krollman. So you have no case here because that's already been decided by another court. Now, you want to proceed with your counterclaim?
Yes.
I got 30 seconds to hear the nonsense.
Okay. Mr. Krollman is an alcoholic. He's obviously had disorderly conduct while intoxicated.
And how long have you known that?
Ever since I met him.
Well, that's your problem. That's your bad judgment, not only to hook up with somebody you say is an alcoholic, but to make a baby with them. But you did.
It's true.
And the child is entitled to know both parents.
It's true.
Good. Now, let's go.
He had supervised visitation during this custody proceeding, and now he's not allowed in the bar as part of our agreement when he has her for visitation.
Fine. But he has her for visitation.
Correct.
Good. Which means that the court found that he was a reasonable enough guy to have unsupervised visits.
Correct.
Right? despite what you said.
Correct.
So the court found that you were not a credible witness. Because
No.
when you had a trial on the issue of custody and visitation, did you have hearings with regard to custody and visitation?
Yes.
And were you opposed to him having unsupervised visits?
Yes.
The court did not believe you as to the reasons why, because the court ultimately granted him unsupervised visits.
We settled.
You only settled because your lawyer said he's going to get unsupervised visits. Listen, I was in the business 25 years. I know the game. If you thought you were winning, you wouldn't have settled. That's not the way women play the game.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He's throwing things at me, broke a mirror, shoved me in the closet.
And yet you went to bed with him in November of 2005.